What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. Yo! We are here today to do something extremely difficult, but so much fun, man. I'm going to attempt to rank, as all of you did earlier on in the week, my favorite chapters of 2021. Because this year, in regards to the best-selling manga in history, was on a different level, man. 35 chapters of absolute greatness, man. And I want to put emphasis on the fact that this is my personal list. The list that all of you voted on will be going live tomorrow. I'll be going live with the results to the chapters of the year that you all voted for on Friday morning. But today, I'm going to be talking about my own personal list, man. When I tell y'all this was difficult, I still don't know if I'm sure of these rankings. Besides 1 and 2. Oh, I mean, yo, this was so hard. This was so difficult, bro, because we have had so many legendary chapters. It's probably a list that's going to be interchangeable depending on the mood, but that's the way almost all great lists are, right? So I'm going to give it a shot with my top 10 favorite chapters of 2021. But before we get into that, it's time for some honorable mentions, man. So in regards to the honorable mentions, first and foremost, every Roof Piece chapter that's not on this list. Every Roof Piece chapter that is not on this list is on the list in my heart. Alright, I had to limit myself, because if not, the whole list was about to be Roof Piece. I was like, hold on, I gotta limit myself. So, every Roof Piece chapter that is not on this list is on the list. It's on the list. That's first and foremost. Number 2. For 2 chapters that had, just panels of legend, right? Moments that I absolutely adored, but just did not make the list. First and foremost, chapter 1025 with Luffy and Yamato, the Jet Culvert. Oh, man, finally seeing Snake Man again riding on the dragon, the Luffy and Yamato tag team attack. I mean, yo, come on. Legendary moment. And then chapter 1022 with the All-Stars taking the stage. One of my favorite panels in the entire arc was Zoro and Sanji going in with the mallet and the onigiri on King and Queen. Just legendary stuff. As Marco said, they're like, yo, we'll leave it up to the boys. The fact that those are honorable mentions is enough of a testament to how legendary this year was. This year was legendary, man. Let's get into it. We're starting off this list with a banger. Chapter 1024, man. A glimpse, a peek, a little insight into Yamato and Kaido's backstory. And seeing the two of them in amazing choreography, fantastic dialogue, throwing down as this flashback's taking place, ending the chapter on a Thunder Baguette clash. Oh, man, but that flashback was so needed. God, man, that glimpse to their backstory, finally, and for me, as y'all know how much I love Yamato, and being able to see the origins of that, because we know why it is that Yamato came to love Odin. We know why that is. You know, being able to see and experience the Hour of Legends, who wouldn't be inspired by that? But within the flashback, we not only got to see the awakening of her conqueror's hockey, but we also got to see the moment in which she got the logbook. And then she also meets other inspirational individuals that would lead us to where we are now in regards to how important Wano and the people of Wano are to her. And that is the legendary samurai of Wano. Within those samurai is Ushimaru, who has a connection to Ryuma and Zoro. And it's like, I love this. And it was so great whenever it was a fantastic moment whenever they gave up their food to give it to her. And it's like, man, these are the samurais of legend that we heard of. These are the samurais of legend that we continue to see with the customs and the culture that was set in place that we were expecting to see within this arc. And we saw that within these characters, and it was so beautiful. I love that flashback, man. A lot of only insight into Yamato and Kaido's relationship, how we got to this current point in the timeline. And like I said, as a fan of Yamato, this was fantastic. I love this chapter. I can't wait to see all this stuff in the anime, see what kind of music we end up getting for this type of stuff. And that Thunderbog was going to be legendary. I cannot wait for that clash in the anime, man. This chapter was special. This chapter coming off of the All-Stars taking the stage is exactly what we needed, man. This chapter flows so well from beginning to end. Starting off with Sanji versus Queen and Zoro versus King. Seeing, setting up the tone and what we are to expect from both of those battles, right? And from both sides. But when we start getting extremely important information in regards to Zoro, Ryuma being a one-eyed source, where you're like, wait, then you see the Ushimaru connection, like, wait. And then the Lunarian stuff, and which I'm still holding on to, man, with Sanji, but King looks over to the side like, hold up, that's impossible. Like, oh, I'm the only Lunarian, and all that stuff being put into play with some amazing fighting choreography. Zoro fighting back-to-back with Sanji. I mean, it was beautiful, bro. I mean, give it to attack. Zoro was like, you ain't hitting him. Only I can hit Sanji. Yo, greatness, right? And it continues from there. We got to see some Inarashi greatness, but in finishing off the chapter is Momonosuke in his adult dragon form, something that we had been speculating and wanting to see for so many years, man. And for somebody who had been hanging on to that theory from the first moment that I heard it about Momo turning into his adult dragon form, that is how Luffy's gonna make it up there. When I saw that, man, not only is it a glorious panel, not only was it extremely well executed with the individuals being like, oh, is that Kaido? Nah, son, that's the other dragon, the real dragon. I was like, let's go. A chapter that flowed so well, great ending, but it still has some content that we can still speculate on to this day with the beginning of that stuff. It's a great combination of all-star piece, roof piece, and lore piece, all in one chapter. 1023 is a banger. My man, Kurohashi no Sanji el Príncipe, yo. This dude came in. He was practicing. He was hitting R1, triangle, circle, square, square, X, go. I was practicing all night. Yo, this man came in with the ultra combo finish. He proceeded to, on his foot, on his leg, he inserted the materia of legend. He inserted the materia of Ifrit from Final Fantasy. Insert it. Put him up. And then we proceeded to get one of the nastiest combos in the entire series, man. Beef, blasto. I mean, it was nasty. It was nasty, man. Shout out to the beef. The beefy legs of legend, man. But on a serious note, this chapter was really special because it just drove home the themes of this fight and having to overcome himself and his past and having to fully confront that from Sanji's perspective. And of course, Queen utilizing that and utilizing, the techniques of all of his brothers back to back. And then finally ending it off with Stealth Black. And Sanji having to defeat Stealth Black in order to win this battle was so dope, man. I cannot wait to see this stuff in the anime. It is going to be awesome sauce. It truly is a dream to see these battles take place and knowing that final shot, that final panel hits different. Holding the pose after the ultra combo. Boom. Get Queen out of here. El Príncipe season. Bro, I need y'all to do me a favor, man. For anybody out there who has watched Bleach and also reads One Piece, please go back and reread this fight with the Espada soundtrack, man. It hits on a different level, bro. This is the One Piece version of the Arrancar saga. This was masterful, dude. We finally got to see Robin. We finally got to see Robin have a fight post-time skip that was legit a 1v1. And it is her best fight in the series by far. By far, man. And this conclusion with her resurrection? Oh, dude, and the Fishman choreography. The fighting choreography? Oh my, bro, I'm telling you. This came out the same week that Bleach came back, and you could tell the vibes were there. The Bleach vibes were that. I mean, bro, you could smell it in the air, bro. Like somebody in the background was playing that Cavala la Espada. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, yo, Robin was out here pointing Black Maria to the symphony of my heart. Doom, 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 doom. Yo, Fishman karate up, breaking the... This fight was goated, bro. Robin versus Black Maria. When this stuff gets animated, I continue to say this, but it's true. When this gets animated, it's over. It's over. Love this chapter. Yo, we know Robin can throw hands, but after this one, anybody can see her. And y'all don't want none of Nico Robin. And I just love the overall concept of using her epithet, you know, of using her nickname in the Demon Child and utilizing that to this degree, right? Of like, yo, I am willing to become this for my family, for the crew that I love so much. Such a great fight. Great payoff to not only chapters 1005 and 1004, everything that was happening there, but also to chapter 1020 and coming off of having to confront her past directly, right? Just amazing stuff. Roro Noa Zoro. Roro Noa Zoro. Yo, man. We finally got the answer after all of these years of speculation for why that Tsunachi plotline was so important. For why it is, or for what that was going to eventually connect us to. And to get that flashback within that chapter was glorious, man. It just, like you knew something like that was coming, but it was the way that it was executed. That chapter flowed so well. It flowed so well, man. From a structure standpoint, it was just beautiful. Zoro and King throwing down. Some of those panels were amazing, yo. It's a Shishi Son with an adjective. It has an adjective, bro. Like, how could I not mark out? Dog. King being filthy. I mean, he was nasty in this chapter. But my favorite aspect of this chapter, leading up to the ending, was Zoro saving his blades, because I'm a huge fan of when the master of somebody who wields some type of weapon, whether it be a sword, a gun, a giant robot, whatever it is. I love the relationship that's set in a place between man and blade, for example. And so to see how much care Zoro put for Kitetsu and Wado, who have been with him for so long, and then also Enma, but in particular, going to Wado, which has been with him from the very beginning, and Kitetsu, willing to risk his life in the middle of fighting Queen to make sure that those blades are safe, was a really incredible moment. And then ending off the chapter with his own inner monologue, his own inner conflict of talking to his blades, and then eventually having the conversation with Enma where he's like, yo, is this why I wasn't able to tame you up until this point, Enma? You probably looked at me like I was a disgrace. You were like, yo, what is this guy doing? You know what I want you to do, but you're not feeding me the right energy. You're not feeding me the right energy, man. You gotta feed me that conqueror's coding. And so Zoro's like, yo, man, my bad, dog. He was like, yo, Odin wielded you like you were light as a feather. Like you were able to just do anything with that man wielding you. I want to do better than him. I respect Odin. I respect everything that he stood for. But I'm your master now. And you gotta listen to me. Let's have this conversation. Because it's time. It's time. And I loved it so much, man. And when he pulls out the Conqueror's coding, Enma's listening to him like, this is what I was asking for. I was starving for some more of this. And King tells him, so you have kingly ambitions too. Or the way it's said in the Viz, so you intend to be a king then. We get a flashback to the first time he met with Luffy. And then he gives him one of my favorite final lines out of any chapter in this arc, man. When he's like, yo, that's right. I've got a promise to keep to my captain and my best friend, bro. Peak, son. I love this. This is without a doubt one of my favorite chapters, one of my favorite Zoro chapters in this series. I mean, phenomenal stuff, dude. Just love it. I love it for his character. I love it for the fighting choreography. I love it for the flashback. I love this chapter. It is such a well-executed chapter in this magnificent fight between Zoro and King, man. And it really showed us, when you see that scene with Zoro holding all three of the blades and the Conqueror's coating is leaking. The advanced Conqueror's Haki is leaking out of his blade. And you're like, yo, it's time. And you see the people passing out. It's like, he's got it. Like, we already knew he had it because of chapter 1010, but actually seeing him utilize it against King just hit different, man. Dude's passing out. They were dying from peak fiction. They could not handle it. They couldn't handle my boy. The GOAT with the GOAT. Yo. Yeah, dude. I mean, bro, I don't even have the words. Who has the words? Who has the words prepared to speak on something of this magnitude? Such a legendary moment. The king. The GOAT. Finally getting to the level, to the point where his skill set has caught up to his ambition. And my man split the skies, dude. What we saw in chapter 1001 where Kaido was like, oh, so how high were you ceiling go? You know, are you really in the same realm as them? And we saw all the legends in the series. Individuals who have split the skies. And to see with his own two eyes when he looked up, Luffy was on the other half. He and Kaido did what only a select few have done. My man is an emperor. And this is things we knew. This is things we knew. Big News Morgan's greatest future sight in the history of manga. Oh, you want to talk about Madam Shirley and all these other individuals and other manga who can see into the future? I'll tell you who can see into the future. Big News Goat Man Morgans. That's my goat. Because he recognized greatness, bro. Real recognized real. Real recognized real. And in this case, Morgans knew. He foretold of the ancient prophecies. My man is watching that from whatever bird plane he was on with the hot air balloon. And he's looking at it from the legendaries, man. The people on the moon, they're over here watching. They're sitting down. They're eating their popcorn, wherever in the world the NL brought to them, man. Whatever they eat in space. And they're just sitting there, one leg over the other. They're chilling. As the second round of roof pieces taking place with the GOAT with the coat and Yakuju no Kaido. They're like, yo, this is the greatest event of all time. And I'm like, I know. Like, come on, man. Splitting the skies. I don't have to mention anything else about this chapter. Those panels back to back to back. I have infinite chances. I have an infinite amount of chances. His declaration with Momonosuke there with him. I mean, come on, man. Shiryu, Fujitora, Mihawk, y'all are next. King, yo, man, this was beautiful, son. And the more that I went back and actually thought about this chapter, the more I love it. The more I'm like, man, this was truly something special. Like, Zoro defeating King in the manner in which he did it. Because, you know, for such a long time, I was like, why in the world is Zoro learning this Foxfire style? It's something that's been built up since Punk Hazard. Interested in cutting fire. We got to see that a lot on the roof. It helped out, and fighting Big Mom, of course, with Prometheus. But I was like, yo, how is this going to help out in the long run? And when it started fighting against King, of course, who has the flames, I was like, okay, how is this going to how is him learning how to cut flames going to help him in this battle against King? And so as he's figuring out King and the fact that he's a Lunarian, as he stated in the beginning of this chapter, that whenever his flames regress into his body, his offense may get stronger, but his defense weakens. And so Zoro was starting to learn that about the way that his body works. And so it helped him out on that end. But to see that the final attack is him not only cutting fire, but cutting his arm and his wings, I was like, yo, my man is legit. Like, yo, Zoro, bro. Dog, coming after 1033 and that masterclass of a chapter, to follow that up with some more amazing fighting choreography. Zoro learning on the spot, figuring out what he should do. Learning how to use the Conqueror's coding, hitting stuff like the bird dance and counter moves. King, he was allowing King to hit him so he could immediately turn around and, I mean, it was fighting genius. But when you got to see those types of scenes with him utilizing the Conqueror's coded attacks, and they're just leaking out of the blade, man. And they're so raw, dude. And it's like, yo. And he's just going in. And he's going in. But that final one, bro. King of Jigoku. 3 Serpent. 103 Mercies. And he just obliterated. I mean, it was filthy, man. It was filthy, dude. That final attack, that final spread one, that gets animated. When Zoro vs. King is animated, Zoro vs. Killer is already one of my favorite episodes to watch in Wano. I rewatched that so many times because it's just so raw. Wait until we get to the King fight, dude. This is so far my favorite ending to a battle in this arc. It was legendary. Like, not only was the chapter itself fantastic, but when you have Zoro actually taking out a right hand, declaring himself as a member of this world that people need to fear, that people need to know. The right-hand man of Kaido just fell to this dude. The future world's strongest swords. You better put some respect on my boy's name. Using Conqueror's coded attacks. King goes down. The right-hand man of the world's strongest creature just went down to Zoro. This is a monumental moment, man. Monumental. And it's so great because, you know, throughout the entirety of the time skip, we've seen Zoro go ham. But he hasn't had that opponent to truly test him yet. He's had environments test him. He's had size test him. But never an opponent that could actually pose a significant threat. And this is the biggest threat he's faced. Without question. The 2 biggest threats he's faced were both in this arc. And that's Kaido and King. And so for him to do this against King, man. And you got to see every single time that King hit him in that certain part of his body that was already injured beforehand. It's like, yo, what kind of state is Zoro going to be in after this fight, dude? But in the midst of that, we also got a King backstory, which is also a glimpse into Kaido's backstory, which by itself also gives us a lot to think about. King and his unmasking and figuring out more into the Lunarians, and that lore, of course, is going to come into play later on, but it was just a masterclass of a chapter. I love it. From the great action sequences to the great King characterization, seeing him declare Kaido as the king of the pirates, and that was something I really wanted to see. Whenever we were initially leading into Zoro versus King, I was like, I want to see if King feels the same way about Kaido that Zoro feels about Luffy. And if it's really going to come down to who has the bigger ambitions over the other, right? And so when King states that, we get to see his flashback and we see that Kaido recruited him in the same way that Luffy got Zoro and that Roger got Rayleigh. And it's like, man, they have a deep, deep connection with each other. And so, loved this chapter. It is monumental. It is seriously is. The fact that Zoro took out another right-hand man of a Yonko commander is huge. Cannot wait to see this in the anime. Loved this chapter. And that final attack, bro, rent-free, man. Rent-free. King went down to a legendary technique, bro. That thing was nasty. Nasty. The mere fact that this is not my favorite chapter of the year speaks volumes for this year's incredible content. El Príncipe. Kurohashi no Sanji. This is what I love so much about this series from a writing standpoint. The way that it's able to portray this kind of stuff visually is incredible. The internal conflict of a character, and it's the way that this stuff was built up for so long, man. So the entire course of the series for sure. But from Whole Cake Island, having to live with that guilt that you're the reason why we couldn't get to Wano sooner. You're the reason why plans got halted. All of that, I'm pretty sure, is in Sanji's mind. So throughout the beginning of the course of this arc, we got to see little bits and pieces. He's forced to use the stealth black suit. Goes in with a Black Maria situation, is forced to rely on Robin 100%, takes it upon himself, embarrasses himself before everyone else. And he's like, I don't care. I know who I am. I know who I am, and I'm no longer going to keep everything on top of my shoulders. I'm going to share this burden with the people that I love. And so he gives it over to Robin, and now he goes with Zoro as the wings of the king in order to go out and take on Queen. And what this leads to is one of my favorite moments in the entire series. And without question, it's hard. Sanji's had some phenomenal chapters, man. But this is right up there with the very best of them, dude. I absolutely adore this chapter. He asks himself whether or not Luffy would prefer the cold-blooded assassin Sanji or the Sanji that's currently here at this point in time. The one that he's sure has held him back so many times. Because he's like, yo, Luffy loves me for who I am, but would I be more beneficial to him if I was just a cold-blooded killer? Things that would normally, of course, come to mind. And so he has to make a decision. The life of his crew, the life of those that he loves, or what he wants to do. And he takes it upon himself to make that decision. Nobody else can make it for him. He makes that decision. And he stomps on the raid suit. He stomps on it. Destroys it. Proceeds to call up Zoro. He's like, yo, I don't know what's about to happen to my body. I don't know if I'm going to be turned into something that is irreversible. I don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I need to rely on you. Sanji, the individual who took everything upon himself, never relayed any type of burden to anyone else. Not only relied on Robin, but now is relying on Zoro, his rival. The individual that he has bickered with so many times. It's like, yo, if something happens, I know if there's anybody that I can trust, it's you. And me if I go too far. If things get bad, I leave it in your hands. Thanks. Hell's memories to Queen. In terms of this series is at its very best when it's paying something off that has been built up for so long. And Sanji's character arc, Sanji's character journey throughout the entire series has continued to get payoff in the past couple of arcs. But even within that payoff, we've got an incredible setup that was paid off within this chapter. And I loved every single second of Sanji's internal conflict and how he answered that internal conflict, coming up with a decision on his own to rely on others and to destroy things that we know he loves so much, all to become one of the wings of the king. 100%. Because that's what you have to do in order to take on a commander level individual like Queen. Is to throw aside all stuff that could be holding you back. Even stuff that you really love. To throw it away. Because it's not needed right now. What you needed to do right now is to take out this dude so that your character can become king. I love this chapter. I really love this chapter, man. Sanji, greatness, dude. Greatness. And now we're down to the top two. No surprise to anyone. For anyone that's been here from the beginning of the year. Let's start off with 1,000, man. Let's start off. Number 2 is chapter 1,000. Like I said for the last one, the fact that this is not number 1 is a testament to this year's greatness. The experience of reading chapter 1,000 on a weekly basis is something that I'll never forget. The content covered within that chapter, I had to stop. I think that's my longest reaction that I've ever recorded. I think. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I remember I had to stop after reading the title because it destroyed me on so many emotional levels. To see where the goat with the coat is at this point in time. And chapter 1,000 being named Straw Hat Luffy was so beautiful, bro. But when you continue on and you have some of my favorite stuff in this series in regards to themes and in regards to rawness. You know, my 2 favorite things in the series, an emotional payoff to some type of theme that was introduced earlier and representing that through a character in the likes of Yamato. And the Red Rock, bro, the gobble, bro, this man Luffy pulled a Meruem and walked right past Kaido and Big Mom with the... And then he goes in and he delivers the Red Rock and then he gives his catchphrase, son. I mean, it's peak fiction, bro. I'm 100% peak fiction. Peak. Santa Hat level. That dropped like Christmas Day, if I'm not mistaken, or like that weekend. Santa Hat level. Absolute goated peak zenith, right? But it's so beautiful, man, because it just represents everything that makes the series so special. When you get that flashback with Yamato and Ace, and Yamato has that scene where she says, "I'm not going to laugh at him." That scene by itself propelled Yamato to like the highest degree of my S tier of favorite characters, because that line hits home so hard. It is One Piece. That line is One Piece. I'm not going to laugh at somebody's dream. How could I? We lived through it. We know he's gonna do it. How could we laugh at someone like that? It's like Ace, it's an Ace flashback. It's like, we won't allow it. Little bits and pieces about him and Roger, and like the fact that he wanted to meet Roger, but he never knew it was Roger. Talks about the will of D with Momonosuke. But that one line, "I'm not going to laugh at him," I know it probably has a lot more implications for Void Century stuff. We know about the he laughed and how everybody's has some sort of response. But Yamato was the only one to have a different response. And I want to talk about that one day. But it is such a beautiful scene, man. And then when she goes into the lines about what is stated in the book, that 20 years from now, the legends are going to appear. They are the ones that are capable of stopping Kaido. And we get a double-page spread of Big Mom and Kaido, and then the Big Five on the roof with Luffy, Zoro, Killer Kid, and Law. Beginning the goatest stretch of chapters in Roof Piece. Bro, Goat Man, Monkey D, Luffy. Yo! Dude, I can't stress this enough, bro. I cannot stress this enough, man. I don't know if I can... I mean, bro, listen. He passed by Big Mom and Kaido like he was King Meruem. And then he proceeded, when Kaido was going to take him out for not listening to him, he hits him with a brand new technique. The Red Rock. Kaido gets rocked so hard, Big Mom was like, "What is going on here? What is going on here?" Puts on the hat, Shanks style. "I'm the man who's going to become king of the pirates." It's like, yo, this is One Piece. This is One Piece. Lore, emotional, hype. One Piece. Pinnacle of the medium. I love this. Chapter 1,000, man. Without question, one of my favorite chapters in the entire series. Represents so many things that I love about the series. But above all else, the goat with the coat, going up in like swimwear and kick-starting one of my favorite stretches of chapters ever in Roof Piece. Come on, man. Peak. And to end us off, I gotta put it on. It is the Jordan jersey chapter. Y'all know how much I love hype. There's a hype moment. There's a raw moment that I can just get super excited about. I love that stuff, man. I don't know if I've ever been more hyped while going back and rereading, or while in the moment and reading it or experiencing whatever it is. I don't know if I've ever been more hyped than when I read this chapter, or when I go back and think about this chapter. And it's because of the connection that I have to these characters, bro. But when you have a chapter dedicated to those two goats, the goat duo, and Luffy and Zoro, reaching the next stage, declaring themselves to Kaido that they are here. We are here. The title of the chapter is The Color of the Supreme King. The color of the Supreme King. The color of the Supreme King. And then you have Luffy, who's on the ground. Kaido's going towards him. Zoro's like, yo, you don't touch that man. And he brings out a combination of both his ambitions to become the world's strongest and his other ambition to make sure that Luffy becomes king of the pirates, to ensure that man lives. Both of those come out, and his Conqueror's Haki blooms. And he brings out the legendary Ashura once more, in one of the nastiest techniques I've ever seen in Dead Man's Game. And he slices Kaido to the point to where he leaves a scar. Zoro leaves a scar. A scar on Kaido, the unscarable, the immovable, the invincible. Scarred by my swordsman. Scarred by my swordsman. And he goes up in like swimwear. And it's so filthy. Because he looks at him and is like, oh. So it looks like you can utilize the color of Supreme King too. And Zoro hits the ground not knowing what in the world he's talking about. He's like, what are the flying flaglets? And us as the fandom, we're like, yeah! So that was a Conqueror's coded attack. And at the time we didn't know what Conqueror's coding was because we had to flip a few pages, but we're like, yo, Conqueror's Haki? Conqueror's Haki? But of course we don't know. But the fact that we got that Conqueror's Haki reveal right there was so goat because it blossomed thanks to his two number one ambitions. You're in front of the world's strongest creature, trying to prove your skill. And it was the culmination of everything that happened on the roof with Zoro going in, Big Mom telling Kaido to dodge, the Black Rope Dragon Twister, which originally hurt him. And then we go into chapter 1009 where he blocks the Igaku sovereignty. And then you top it off with this, leaving a scar on Brock Lesnar. And he's like, yo, Conquer. Like, hey, man, I respect you. Like, Kaido paying respect to Zoro. It was like, yo, you that dude. You're that dude. And I'm like, I know. And then, in the midst of that, we have this man Kaido speed blitzing both Law and Kid with a Thunder Bagua. And then Big Giga Goat, Monkey D, the greatest of all time, the world champ, the GOAT with the code rocking a Jordan jersey, bro. He's so GOAT, he's got the Jordan jersey and the Braun jersey. He's got the Messi legs and the Ronaldo legs. GOAT man comes in a panel like he had with Robert D. Lucci. You don't see his face. And Kaido's like, whoa, hold up, this man's still breathing? He gives him the reveal. that Kaido is coding his attacks in Conqueror's Haki. And it's like, what? And then Kaido's like, yo, only a select few could ever do such a thing. Something that you most certainly can't do. And then we get my favorite fighting choreography sequence in the entire series. Where the sandals of legend, La Chancleta, goes in and we see the Conqueror's Haki sparks coming off his foot. He has infused attacks with Conqueror's coding. And he's not even touching Kaido. And you're like, bro, he's like Roger. He's like Roger. Big goat Luffy. Boom. Boom. He hits him so hard, it causes Kaido to go, whoa. Bro. And then after that, we get treated to the Yu Yu Hakusho. The Sendo. Dun, 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 dun. And Luffy uppercuts him and never touches him. And it's like, this is zenith of the medium. This is peak fiction. If you don't like GOAT Raw, peak Kino swag, then click off the video because this is One Piece. Chapter 1010 is not only my favorite action chapter in the series. Some days I'm like, yo, this is my favorite action chapter of all time. But it's because of the build-up, man. 1,000 chapters of build-up. For us to see them going in against an emperor. And for my boys to show out like this. Luffy and Zoro in that chapter dropped like 100 points both. They both dropped quadruple doubles on them, man. Quadruple doubles, hat tricks. They broke the touchdown record. They did it all. They did it all. It was two. It was two because, yo, Kid, Law, and Killer, at that point in time, on the Big Mom. On the Big Mom. You know what I'm saying? Law was still up there, but it was on the Big Mom. So it was just Luffy and Zoro. And they did what they needed to do. They put in work, and they made the world's strongest creature put some respect on their name. That was their declaration of, we are here, we are emperors, and we ain't going away, son. This is our era. We the goats. Straight up Ichigo style. Now you feel like number one. I mean, bro, this chapter, this was when I was like, yo, Luffy's the GOAT, bro. See, like, I mean, there's always been that, but yo, in this chapter, I was like, nah, it's over. It's over. It is over. When this man is doing attacks like what Roger did, attacks only select few individuals can do, with Conqueror's coded attacks, I was like, no, this is peak, bro. This is the pinnacle. That final fighting choreography sequence with the sandal hitting him where he protrudes forward, and then we have the uppercut, legendary. When this chapter gets animated, chapter 1010, it's gonna be, I'm telling you, bro, 1000 and 1010. Those two have the potential to be the greatest episodes in the entire series. I mean, it's there. It's written on the wall. We just need to see how they do it. We just need to see how they do it, because it's there. It's there. It is peak. It's there, and I love it. Without question, my chapter of the year. It was between that and 1000, but when I really thought about it, 1000, absolutely adore it. Roof Piece chapters, all goated. But the thing about 1010 is it is the culmination of not only Roof Piece, it is the culmination of all of those chapters of the journey of those two individuals at the forefront. Zoro's Conqueror's Haki blooming because of the ambitions that he's always had, protecting what's important to him. And Big Goat Man Monkey D going in, conquers, coded attacks, some raw dialogue. Kaido can't believe it. The world can't believe it. The people on the moon can't believe it. I can't believe it, but it happened. Goat Man is here. And to think that Luffy vs. Kaido next year is going to be that every single chapter for those two, we are in for some peak. But for right now, that's the peak, man. Chapter 1010, without question, one of my favorite chapters in the entire series. So goated. Love it with every fiber of my being. I'll see y'all next time. Those are my favorite chapters of the year. Let me know what y'all's are. Even though I'm pretty sure you already voted for the results tomorrow, but if you have not, love to read that in the comments down below, or if you have any further comments on any of the chapters, would love to read that as well, man. But until next time, what a year it's been for that Go Peace greatness, man. The best-selling manga in history this year was out of this world, dude. And to think that next year is gonna be even better, bro. We're not ready. We're not ready. Y'all have a good one. Stay blessed. Go Peace, man.